And welcome to Player Profiler's Thursday Night Tailgate. I'm your host, Bradley Stalder. Joining me tonight, you know him from Player Profiler today. It's Jack Kavanaugh himself. That's right, Jack. Welcome to Thursday Night Tailgate. It's a lot of fun. I was on the Player Profiler today a few months ago, and you crush it with that show. So it's great having you here on this Thursday Night Tailgate here in Week 9.
Oh, thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine. We also got to work together earlier than that as well. We got together while you drafted a team, and I think that went pretty well. Is that team still doing as well as it was in the past?
It is a top 10 team still in the
Woo!
tournament. It is second in the division after a really rough week number 8. I've been threading the needle. I don't know if you remember this team, Jack, but I only drafted 5 running backs, and one of them is J.K. Dobbins, and one of them is Devon Achane. So I've been threading the needle with Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, and Jahmyr Gibbs. That's it. Those are the only running backs that we have. So I've been treading water until Achane comes back. But Jack, I think you're my good luck charm. So I think if I'm invited back next year, you know who's going to be invited. So
Yeah, I think we work well together. I'm happy to be on this show. Happy to be drafting with you next year. I am just happy working with Bradley Stalder at any point.
This is awesome. Yes, Senor Football is in the chat. Bradley and Jack back at it. That's right. We are here to answer your start sit questions. We're going to talk Thursday night football. I was looking at the spread and looking at the game totals, and it's not looking like a very impressive game. Is not poised to be a shootout, Jack. We've got the Tennessee Titans traveling to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 3-point favorites at home, 37-point over under for the game total. We're not looking at a barn burner. This is, we're looking at the rest of like the Minnesota Vikings, Atlanta Falcons is 37 over under, and the Giants Raiders is 37 over under, just to give our listeners a barometer of what kind of disaster zone this Thursday night game could become. But there are some fantasy relevant players that some of us have to make decisions about as we're entering into week number 9. We'll kick it off here with in the pre-show meeting, I asked Jack about Will Levis in particular, because Will Levis set week 8 on fire. 4 touchdown passes, wasn't even playing every snap. Malik Willis was somehow given some snaps. Jack, we talked about Will Levis before the show. What are our expectations for week number 9? He's going to get all the snaps, but we can't expect 4 touchdowns again, right?
No, we can't expect 4 touchdowns, but I still think he's going to have a pretty good performance. The Steelers' defense is overrated to begin with. Then they lose Minkah Fitzpatrick, their all-pro safety. And I get it, it's a short week, so that's why I'm not expecting 4 touchdowns. But I think you were correct with your bet earlier, taking the over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Will Levis, because he was just genuinely really, really good last week. Honestly, if you projected that for a whole season, he would be just QB1. And I get it, it's a small sample size, but he led the NFL in average depth of target at almost 12 yards every time he threw the ball. That's where he's aiming downfield. 75% of his passes completed from a clean pocket. That's number 1. He's number 1 in fantasy points per dropback, ahead of Anthony Richardson. And he had 7 carries to only 11 yards. But 7 carries? That's sneaky Konami code. I really like Will Levis. I think that he just might be a hit. He might be a hit, and the NFL might have missed.
Ooh, Cody Carpentier does not miss. Let me tell you, he
No.
was touting Will Levis all offseason. And as we were drafting in our dynasty leagues, Jack, it was a clear 3 quarterback threshold of Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. You knew you were drafting in Superflex leagues, but a distant 4th, just like the NFL draft, was Will Levis. And as someone who had some shares of Will Levis later on, and I got him at the 8th pick or the 7th pick in the Superflex drafts, I'm feeling pretty good about the trajectory of Will Levis. But just for this week, I have Will Levis ranked at quarterback 14, which is one of the highest among the rankers at Fantasy Pros. And for the record, Billy and I are neck and neck. I don't know, Jack, if
I
you
saw
this.
that.
but we are, the terrible tandem that go back and forth about rankings, and that's what I'm a big believer, that iron sharpens iron, and this is how you and I and others in this industry get better at playing the game that we love, is going back and forth. And so Will Levis, I have at 14, and it's less about the confidence that Will Levis is going to absolutely decimate the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's more so the lack of confidence I have in the quarterbacks below him. So like Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, Daniel Jones coming back from injury. Jordan Love is not playing well. Has the lowest completion percentage in the NFL. Geno Smith, as you mentioned in the pre-show meeting against the Baltimore Ravens, they're a difficult secondary. Bryce Young, Carolina, I could see him having a spike week. Carolina against Indy. Mac Jones against Washington could have a spike week, but I would prefer Will Levis. Taylor Heineke, Kenny Pickett, all of these quarterbacks below Will Levis in my spicy rankings of Will Levis at quarterback 14. How do you feel about that instant reaction, Jack?
Oh, I'm totally into it. We were talking about this before the show, and I think it's both a floor and a ceiling play. Honestly, he has a better floor than Geno Smith against the Ravens, over Daniel Jones, who we don't even know if he's going to finish the game because he's cleared, but he's still got some issues on the left side of his body. But don't worry, ignore that. Daniel Jones is fine. So I'd rather play him than those types of guys. I think the floor is safe. I think the ceiling is elite, as we saw, averages more points per game than any other quarterback. Granted, it is a 1-game sample, but that's where we're at with Will Levis. And I'm not saying he's going to continue that pace, but I think at worst, you're getting a high-end QB2, and at best, you could be getting the QB1 overall again. Because like I said, Steelers defense, overrated.
Ooh, overrated. Well, Daniel Duong comes in the comments and asks exactly that type of question, Jack. Do we trust the Pittsburgh defense tonight? Is this a defense that we are considering in our streamers? Because most of us are streaming our defenses, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers, their expert consensus ranking on Fantasy Pros is the DST 4 overall. I have them down at 14. And I think that's where they need to be. That's where they need to be. Will Levis get sacked? Maybe. Will he throw an interception or two? I mean, that's possible. But as you mentioned, Minkah Fitzpatrick out for this game. Patrick Peterson has played poorly this year, and there are other issues in that secondary. So I think there's more likelihood that Will Levis goes off. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to hang at least 21 points. I think Will Levis is going to throw 2 touchdowns. I think Derrick Henry's going to rush one in as well. And you don't get the opportunities to get sacks in bunches against the Tennessee Titans. You coasted with Ryan Tannehill because he was throwing a bunch of interceptions, but Levis hasn't done that so far. Maybe he will, but you don't get the sack opportunities because they run the football so damn much. So no, I'm not in on the Pittsburgh Steelers. 4th out of defenses, I can't co-sign that.
10th, this is what 14, the experts 15, are saying.
Yeah, they're a borderline start for me. 14th, that area is perfect, but no, not 4th.
Yeah, they're not a strong streaming consideration. Okay, so y'all, if you haven't already checked out Jack's Player Profiler today, you guys need to be checking it out. Jack, what days, for those who are new to your show, Player Profiler today, what days and times can they find you on the Player Profiler network?
You can catch me every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going live at 7 p.m. Fridays, we're going live at 8 p.m. We're letting another show get in there because Fridays are just loaded with content throughout the day. It just doesn't stop. So you can catch me at 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Going to be previewing the weekend, talking about all these injuries, who's in, who's out, who we're playing because X is out. Darren Waller is out this week, which is just breaking my heart. I have him everywhere.
Give me some Daniel Bellinger, baby.
Yep, exactly.
I have him as a top 20 tight end this week.
Oh, you have to. You absolutely have to have him as a top 20 tight end. If you have him around 15, I'm all right with it because at tight end, it's just 3 receptions and a touchdown puts you as a tight end 1. That's it.
I love it. I do have Bellinger. I take that back. He's at 21 for me. How dare
Oh.
I?
I mean, I'm sure you could flip a coin on a couple of those guys ahead of him one way or the other, and there's a couple guys behind him you could flip the coin on too.
That's true. I don't think the consensus is caught up, but he's currently ECR 29 among tight ends. So I've already moved those up. We've got some of the best rankings in the industry here at Player Profiler. So make sure you guys are checking out the work there, playerprofiler.com. That's where you can find shows like Player Profiler Today, the Thursday Night Tailgate, and of course our Monday Night Tailgate as well. You can check that out at 7:30 on Mondays to preview the Monday Night Football, just as how we're previewing the Thursday Night Football game here. So, Jack, a couple weeks ago, there was some momentum for Tazi Spears. Tazi Spears was and still is one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL. He was one of the top 15 in targets. He was yards per touch among the league leaders, but he wasn't getting the volume. And there was a big push not only to give Tazi Spears more touches and more room to work in this Titans offense, but also the trade rumors for Derrick Henry. And those kind of got snuffed out, at the trade deadline. Obviously, Derrick Henry still on the Tennessee Titans, but Henry has played very well the last 2 weeks, over 200 rushing yards combined over the last 2 weeks, each of those at least 95 yards. Is the big dog back? Is he ready to roll? Is he our mid-pack RB1 until further notice?
Yeah, absolutely. The big dog is back. If he ever left, he is still here. And the problem with Derrick Henry is he shouldn't be a Tennessee Titan. He should be a Baltimore Raven. A trade was signed, sealed, delivered, and then the owner said, "No, I want to keep Derrick Henry. He's the face of the franchise. We're keeping him." Which is just silly how these owners meddle and mess up long-term plans. That's a long-term win for the Tennessee Titans. Nope, we're not doing it just because the owner doesn't feel like it. But that being said, if Tajay Spears was going to get more opportunity, it isn't because Derrick Henry is bad. Derrick Henry second in breakaway runs, sixth in evaded tackles, seventh in yards created. He is just phenomenal. He is still here, hasn't gone anywhere. Tajay Spears is just that efficient that he deserves touches as well. So I truly wish that we got to see Derrick Henry on the Ravens. That would be fantastic. And then Tajay Spears as a full bell cow. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait till next year because Derrick Henry, remember, is a free agent. He's not going to be back with the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be to the Tajay Spears show. And then all will be right in the world, but we deserved to see it sooner.
Oh, we did deserve to see it sooner. Right now, Tazi Spears is outside my top 36 for running backs. So he is a desperation. Plug your nose and put him in flex. You need a breakaway play for him. It's within his range of outcomes, certainly. But, you're probably going to get more volume from Donta Foreman. You're probably going to get more volume from Amari DeMarcado. You're probably starting those guys over Tazi Spears at this point. The other running backs in this matchup are Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. Both I have ranked outside of my top 24 of running backs. Najee not playing well. Also, Jaylen Warren having his ups and downs, pretty consistent, like 8 to 12 fantasy point type of guy. But I don't think we're going to see many spike weeks out of these guys. Typically, Tennessee is very difficult against the run. So I'm not I'm starting Chuba Hubbard, Gus Edwards, Zach
Yep.
Moss over Najee Harris at this point.
Oh, and how sad is that given where he was drafted before the season? But it makes sense. You look at
Wait, who was drafting him? Because I told people not to be drafting Najee Harris.
oh,
Come
but
on.
his ADP was still what, third round? So people did it anyways. It's awful. It's awful what we've seen. And you look at basically any stat and it doesn't pop. The only stats that actually pop for Najee Harris, surprisingly, is breakaway run rate. He's somehow ninth, which I don't understand how that happened. And he's also ninth in evaded tackle. So those are the two stats he is actually good in. Everything else is just in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s. It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
He has been more than secretly crushing your fantasy teams. He has been out just Thor hammering your fantasy teams into oblivion. We've got a few questions about Will Levis in the chat. So, Jack, let's attack those, and then we will move on. We're about the halfway point of today's show. If you have questions about Tennessee or Pittsburgh fantasy relevant players, throw them in the chat, and we will attack those. Starting Will Levis over Geno and Love. Jack?
Yep. Co-sign, start him over both those guys.
Okay, here's a more difficult one because back-to-back in my rankings. Will Levis or Derrick Carr this week?
I think I lean towards Levis only because I think the Saints can get ahead on the Bears and Tyson Bagent's not going to come back and then they can coast. Whereas Levis, the Steelers, as bad and pukey as their offense has been, it can still be competitive with the Steelers. So I think that one has a chance for more passing from Levis. So I give him the edge over Carr, who's just been a check down king this year. But that's close. That's the decision point on Will Levis because I do like Derek Carr this week.
So the Saints are 8.5-point favorites against the Bears in New Orleans. The over-under is 41. So 4 points higher plus a wider spread. I think I'm going to lean Carr in what might be a bigger shootout potential type of game. And the Saints are projected for more points. I think I'm going to lean that way. You mentioned the checkdowns to Alvin Kamara, but Kamara's played well in the passing game.
He's been great.
Yeah, he's been one of the top he leads all running backs over the last 3 weeks in targets by 10 over the next closest running back. He is a vital part of this passing game. Yards per route run is also very good. So he's delivering in the receiving game. The rushing game, on the other hand, like he's not a between the tackles type of guy, but he's getting 17 carries per game over the last 3. I think I am going to go Carr with Olave and with Michael Thomas and with Taysom Hill and all those other weapons. I think that Tennessee, as much as we like DeAndre Hopkins and the existence of Treylon Burks, I mean, we can talk about Burks here in a little bit, but I think I'm going to lean Carr with more weapons and a bigger shootout potential.
I'm fine with that. Like I said, this is the decision point that you're at. Mm-hmm. I think Levis just might have a little bit more upside.
Fair enough. We will find out here in just a few minutes. Daniel jumps back in and says, Will Levis or Sam Howell for tonight?
Oh, Levis, far and away over Sam Howell.
Whoa. Wow. Let's go.
Really? Are you saying Howell over the Patriots?
I have Sam Howell at quarterback 9 this week.
Really?
Yeah. Against the Patriots. Patriots are a bit dysfunctional. And if this game gets into a shootout, we've seen Sam Howell capable enough of keeping up with teams if it gets into that type of scenario. The over-under for that game is 41 as well, but the Patriots are favored by 3. So
yeah, I just go back to Belichick against rookie quarterbacks, and Howell's not a rookie, but he is a rookie starter, and it just never works out except somehow Tua Tagovailoa did it. But I think Sam Howell's going to be in for a see and ghost type of game against the New England Patriots.
Ooh.
I'm fading Howell hard this week.
I love the take, Jack. Let's go. You guys heard it here. Sam Howell's going to be seeing some ghosts. All right, we've got a question, a deep dive on some running back / flex plays. Tazi Spears, or should we go with Roschon Johnson, or the scorching red hot Jahan Dotson?
I think I'm going to go with Roschon. We did see in his return, he was the lead back, only ever so slightly, but that's common coming off concussions. We often see players slowly ramped back into it, but Roschon Johnson is just too talented to deny. So give me Roschon Johnson.
Yeah, I think there's a higher potential that Roschon gets that, gets the work that we want to see, the volume that we want to see. Jahan Dotson is known for his spike weeks. He had a higher rate of spike weeks compared to Terry McLaurin last year, and we've seen this year as well. he is a nose for the end zone, but when he doesn't score, he can be a 0 for your fantasy team. We kind of hit on Tazi Spears already with how I have him ranked outside the top 36 of running backs for this week. And maybe we can move him up like even a tad, but we're not optimistic about him getting the volume against what is now a buffed up Steelers defensive line. Watt is there. Hayward is back off of IR now. So we've got a more difficult front that the Tennessee Titans will be facing, and in limited volume, Tazi Spears probably not the play here. I agree with you, Roschon Johnson. Okay, we've got some interesting questions here in the chat. What's up, fellas? Deontay or Amari Cooper?
Ooh, I don't know how to. Do we know who the quarterback for the Browns is yet?
Deshaun Watson is trending the right way, but he is not officially ready to go.
And even if he is ready to go, do we trust Deshaun Watson?
We
Because
do
last
not
time,
trust Deshaun Watson.
and the last time he played, he still had no zip on the arm. So,
we need to see it before we believe it.
Yeah, I think because of that, I'm going Deontay Johnson, but I do not feel good about it. I would rather play Amari Cooper in a vacuum. Just Amari Cooper's not in a vacuum. He is in a very treacherous situation.
Amari Cooper is getting sucked up in a vacuum. Deontay Johnson, I have at 25 this week. Amari Cooper's at 29, so I am starting Deontay over Amari Cooper. The tough thing, though, Jack, is I have Hopkins at 24, Johnson at 25, and Pickens at 26. So they are all like coin flip right next to each other. Would you change that order of Hopkins, Johnson, Pickens?
No, I think that's what I'd go with because we saw last week the targets for Deontay Johnson are there over George Pickens. Pickens more explosive, but he also hasn't been that productive when Deontay Johnson's in the lineup. So I think I'm going Hopkins because we know he's the target magnet. Deontay Johnson, target magnet as well, but there's the weird chance that somehow it becomes a Pickens game. So I think it's that order for me.
Well, Jesse Driscoll is tantalized by the upside of Will Levis.
we're not going that far.
We're not getting cute here. We're not getting cute. We are playing Jalen Hurts over Will Levis. Look, Jack will eat a sock on the next time he comes on to Thursday Night Tailgate if Jalen Hurts is outscored by Will Levis tonight.
I don't know if I don't know why you're signing me up to eat a sock, but yeah, Jalen Hurts, he fumbles once on a tush push, and we're benching him for Will Levis. No, not here.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts still finished his quarterback 5 last week. Let's not get cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Najee or Darrell Henderson full PPR?
Ooh, I think I'm actually going to go Najee Harris in this one. We did see Darrell Henderson take a step behind Royce Freeman last week. Only a slight step. It's still a pretty much 50-50 split. But the fact that their quarterback is probably not going to be Matthew Stafford, probably going to be Brett Rippon, give me Najee in one of the few situations I'm starting Najee Harris.
Ooh, I see it as a pretty much a coin flip. I have Henderson at 22, Najee at 25. That's how gross this is right now.
Yeah.
Although that's my half PPR rankings. I'm not sure how Fantasy Pros would translate it to full PPR, but I have Henderson slightly over Najee, but it's close. Like, I get that this is a tough question, but sorry, we're not helped you at all, Miles. We are split decision on this one. Jesse asks also Roschon or Stevenson.
Ooh, I think you got to go Ramondre Stevenson still over Roschon.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Deontay Johnson or Tyler Lockett. Lockett just had a big game last week, but he's also questionable.
He's questionable, and he's against the Ravens, which we've talked about might not be the best game for Geno Smith, might not be a shootout type atmosphere, whereas Deontay Johnson, we know he's going to get the targets. We never know who's going to get the targets with the Seahawks. And the Titans secondary is not good either. That's something we haven't talked about, is how bad that secondary is. And it just got worse because they just got rid of Kevin Byard too.
Yeah, we're in favor of Deontay here. And I think that's how I have it in my rankings as well. I think I said Deontay at 25, Lockett at 30.
I think that works.
Okay, we got to pick 2 here, or not 1. Raheem Mostert in full PPR, T. Higgins, or DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh, I don't think you can sit Raheem Mostert at any point until Devon A-Chain comes back.
And
So
even
that
then, you might not sit him
Oh,
anyways.
yeah, you're starting him the game Devon Achane comes back, and then we'll reassess. But until that point, Mostert's a must start. So the real question is Higgins versus Hopkins. Who are the Bengals up against this week again?
They get Buffalo.
Against Buffalo.
Yeah, this Buffalo game is a 49.5 over under, and the Bengals are favored by 2 at home.
Yeah, that all scans. Do I want to go T. Higgins? I think I want to go T. Higgins.
I
I
have
think I
T.
want to go T.
Higgins
Higgins.
at wide receiver 14 for the week.
Ooh,
Let's
that's
go.
spicy. I like that.
Let's
I don't
go.
know. I wasn't going to go that high or that aggressive, but I'm into it. Let's go, T. Higgins.
Let's go, T. Higgins. I have been for the record, for those who are new to the show, I have been so anti T. Higgins preseason and then throughout the entire season. And now is the time. If you have any opportunity to buy low on T. Higgins, Joe Burrow is back. He is at full capacity. And now we get a shootout potential game in Cincinnati, prime time. Yes, give us the rematch of the canceled game. T. Higgins, baby.
Yeah, I think that'll resonate with Higgins as well. I think it's going to be a big one. I think you've swung me even further. Higgins over Hopkins.
All right, we got to decide Tazi Spears over Madison or Cam Akers.
Ooh, so I think I go Spears third of the three. I think you have to go Madison because last week it was heavily in favor of Madison, the snaps. But I want Akers to have this backfield so bad. So the head says Madison. The heart wishes it was Akers.
Yeah, remember last week, Cam Akers had the touchdown, finishes running back 23. In fact, Akers has finished as a top 30 running back each of the last 2 weeks. But he hasn't gotten into that, 15 touches realm yet. That's the frustration.
Yeah, and
So
with Jaron Hall in at quarterback, I think they're going to try and ride Madison a little bit more in the run game. You know what I mean?
maybe. I don't know. O'Connell loves to throw. That's
He
the thing.
does.
And Jaron Hall, for those who are unfamiliar with Jaron Hall, quarterback formerly of BYU, he was Puka Nakua's quarterback. So if that means anything to y'all, Puka Nakua's success translating to the NFL, you can thank Jaron Hall.
I wanted to say Jaron Hall is what we wanted Zach Wilson to be, but I can't commit to that bit. I cannot commit to that bit. Jaron Hall is I don't know what Jaron Hall is. I really don't.
Yeah, we'll find out. So I did a deep dive on him way back before the draft. And one of the things I said was if he has a good offensive line, he can play okay. But he's not, I didn't project him to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I said that he had a below average arm, but if he has time in the pocket, he can make passes. He can make the throws. And so we'll see if he gets enough time with that Minnesota offensive line. He's also going to have an adjustment to real NFL defenses in real time. It speeds up on you. You're not playing against, BYU competition anymore. You are facing real NFL defenders, and he's going to be facing off against the Atlanta Falcons secondary, including AJ Terrell. So that's going to be quite a matchup on Sunday. Y'all, this was a lot of fun jumping in with Jack. Y'all, Jack, where can we find, all of your stuff? I know you do Player Profiler today, but any other drops for you?
You can find me everywhere at Javanaugh87. You can find me on X at Javanaugh87. You can find me on Player Profiler today 3 times a week. And you can find me here tonight. Glad that we got to work together once again. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to hang out with Jack and talk fantasy football. Make sure you guys are also checking out on Saturdays, Matty Kiwoom. and
Yes.
the game plan show. It is always chock full of the best fantasy football advice and thoughtfulness and philosophy that you can get. And so just shout out to Maddie. He's doing a great job with the show. Check it out. It's on Saturdays. The game plan, it's on the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are checking it out. On behalf of Jack, I'm Bradley. And until next time, good luck in the Thursday Night Football matchups, everyone.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.